welcome guys. This is our first live stream session for the Hebrew Cafe. We're going to be reading Joshua. I want to welcome Jonathan, of course. He's with me at the Hebrew Cafe all the time, and Luke has joined us for the reading as our special guest. Since it's our first time, do you guys want to say something about yourselves? What is your involvement with Hebrew? And we've got an hour. That's how much time we've got. So give us a little bit of information about yourself, why you like Hebrew, where you're from, and then we'll get started.
Why don't you start, Mr. Founder?
Okay. Well, I'm Jason, obviously. I started studying Hebrew in 1999, my second year of college. And it's stayed with me these almost 25 years. I live in Israel, in Tel Aviv. I learned to speak Hebrew officially in 2008 when I was in Ulpan, and I've been speaking it since. Worked in El Al, worked at an English school, and now I work in a hotel in Tel Aviv. Use Hebrew every day, but the Bible is a big passion of mine. How about you, Jonathan?
I am Jonathan, and I started Hebrew in high school in 2001. So you got me beat by a couple of years, and a couple of years in Israel too. So I went to college and seminary and did all the Hebrew, and then did poorly in college.
Sorry, you said I went to, but we missed where you went to. Where'd you go?
Asbury Seminary. Didn't want to name drop, but since you asked, and then. My GPA was lackluster, so I gave up. Pastored for a couple years. Actually pastored for a year, and then I met Jason. And we read Hebrew from midnight till 7 a.m. one morning. And I was like, yeah, I still have a problem. I need to continue this outlet. So then I applied to Hebrew Union College and got in, and I'm getting ready to finish my master's in Jewish studies. Hopefully go on to a PhD someplace. We're working on applications now, and that's it.
Excellent. Welcome. How about you, Luke?
Good. Yeah, I have a little bit of a different background than you have. I started, I think, in 2006 with Hebrew, but I had to do a test in biblical Hebrew at the university in Tübingen. I didn't do too well. But then I started modern Hebrew, and it just kind of, after being in Israel for a while, it just kind of clicked. And I studied actually rabbinical Hebrew in Jerusalem at the end of my studies. I'm from Tübingen, Heidelberg, and really kind of regret not studying more biblical Hebrew or even modern Hebrew, but you can't do everything, in 3 semesters. So, and that was just kind of an extra 3 semesters for me on a scholarship. So I'm pretty happy with what I had. And I was in Israel until the war started, and for a postdoc fellowship, but we might come back. I don't know.
And where's your PhD from?
From the University of Munich in Germany.
And what's it in?
It's in religion and theology.
Cool.
So, and actually, if you have to really be specific, it's New Testament and ancient Judaism, which means...
Yes, nice. Yes.
So that pretty much means you can write on anything from the Second Temple times until pretty much the Mishnah, early church fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that I don't have an advanced degree, so that might be
relevant. That's fine. If you have answers, that's the important part.
I'm trying to get him to do a doctorate.
We'll
see.
MA first, I think. But,
nope.
Here we go.
Not anymore. But
this is our PowerPoint. We're going to just jump into it. If you guys don't mind, we've got limited time. So, who wants to tell us a little bit about this text here?
You should. You know more than either of us.
No, Luke's got a good education. The Biblia 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗥𝗡𝗢 is the standard critical text of the full Bible right now. It's based on the Leningrad Codex, the Westminster Codex, I believe. It's the same thing, isn't it? The Westminster Leningrad Codex. Why is it based on the Leningrad Codex? Because it's the earliest complete version of the Masoretic text that we have from around the year 1000. We have one that's probably a better witness of the text called the Aleppo Codex, but the Aleppo Codex is incomplete now because it was broken and part of it was burned.
Jason, we have a comment onto it.
Yeah, you can just wait a second. We'll get comments
Okay.
as we have a chance for them.
Okay, sorry.
So the BHS is basically the critical text that offers us the Masoretic text as its base, and then comments on other textual variants. Right now, the newest edition is called the Biblia Hebraica Quinta, but it's not yet complete. They have Deuteronomy. They have several. I think they've got 12 volumes right now.
Oh, nice. They've come out with
updated.
They've come out with some new ones then.
So far, it's all published on Logos and Accordance for people who are interested in getting a copy of it. So real quick, we do have a comment from Maria.
Jason, can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
Your mic cuts off just a little bit. I don't know if it's my internet or not. So maybe
no, it's mine too. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, you're cutting off a little bit. And then I just wanted to mention also the 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗑 from Bar-Ilan University, which is based on the Aleppo Codex, which if you're studying in a seminary, a Jewish seminary, they'll probably use this as the basis. I think 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗪 and was involved in the project, and they found more readings from the Aleppo Codex from old books, but basically if you're in a European or American university, use the BHS or the Quinta if it's out. Yeah.
I would mention that the 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗍 are also available online. I'll pull this over real quick.
Yes.
The link.
Good.
𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗍. MG is for 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗍. Keter is what you call a template like the Aleppo Codex or the Leningrad Codex. They're Tarim. So you would go to the book here, Sefer, and right now we're on Joshua. On the it says here Hatzeg, display. Go down to the bottom, and at the bottom of this one it says Tzilum Ktav Yad Keter Sova. It's the Aleppo Codex, and it will pull up the Aleppo passages. We don't have before in the book of Deuteronomy. We don't have before, I think, chapter 31, and there are other portions of the text throughout the Tanakh that are missing. But you can actually pull this up and read it, and it's an amazing witness to the text of the Hebrew Bible. So something that you should be aware of.
Hi, Glenn. Good to have you. Denver's a good seminary. It's good.
So we've got a couple people coming in. We've got Muriel. Again, she said she's a beginner, and she's been studying on her own for a couple of years in Quebec. Welcome, Muriel. And Glenn from Denver, Colorado. A few years went to Denver Seminary, took 3 courses in Hebrew. Fantastic. Maybe one of these days you'll read with us. I'm going to move on to the next slide. This gives a snapshot again of the Aleppo Codex. This is what it's called in Hebrew. And then the other text witness, that's the 2 major text witnesses, really big, are Aleppo Codex and Leningrad Codex. This is the Leningrad Codex. It's just called in Hebrew Ktav Yad Leningrad. It's not got a special name. And this is the important part of the Biblia Hebraica Stuttgartensia, the BHS. That is the textual apparatus. It gives us the major textual variants for different verses. So we will maybe be using some information from this in the future in our reading.
Jason, you might want to move your mic closer, maybe?
Am I breaking up that bad?
No, you just get really quiet.
It's coming from my computer, so we tried with my AirPods earlier, Let's try it again. See if it will work.
Mike from Ohio.
Do I sound any better? Probably not.
Yeah, but now, you don't sound better. And there's feedback too. But Mike, where are you in Ohio? When you get a chance. I'm in Cincinnati.
Why did you type your stuff down in the comments? So you're typing back and forth with people. So
I don't see a place to type it. I don't see a place.
Click on comments over on the right.
Yeah, you have to go to private chat to type. Okay.
Not private chat. Comments at the top.
Yeah, but I don't have a place to type.
Gandalf the Wise says that he's doing study. Let's see, Mike is also doing self-study. He's been learning for 15 years, or a year and a half, excuse me. And Rasmus from Denmark, welcome. He's studying at Copenhagen University for some years. And Mike Atnip, we know you from the nerdy language majors between Columbus and Cleveland. So you're close to Jonathan there.
He's probably about 2 hours, 3 hours away from me, but cool. Yeah. Fellow Ohioan.
So this here is the Hebrew and Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament. Very important lexicon if you need help with vocabulary.
Jason, you need to fix your microphone.
Okay, so you take over for me for a minute.
So the DCH is
the red section, and I'll try to work this out.
Okay, the DCH is the masterwork of is it Collins? Kleins. David Kleins, that's right. Yes. And it includes more than beyond biblical Hebrew. Unfortunately, Kleins just recently passed, which is sad. But okay, so I'll read the red text that Jason has prepared. This is from where? From some Jewish study Bible that I'd never heard of before.
From Oxford. Can you
hear
me?
But it says, yeah, but now I hear static. How does it sound for everybody else? It says, this period is presented as a transition stage from Moses, who led the people through the wilderness, to Joshua, his successor, the designated commander of the conquest of the land. The events reflect in reverse order almost perfectly the acts of Moses, which is cool. I had never noticed that before. So there's definitely some literary stuff going on in there. So that's cool. Is that all you wanted, Jason?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it any better?
No static.
But it is muffled. It is muffled.
Not better.
It is muffled.
Yeah.
I really don't know what to do.
I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Anyways, we'll just get where we can.
Yep.
So let's get started in the reading. This is chapter 1, verse 1 of Joshua.
Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan, you want to take it?
Sure. So what, do you want me to read it up to speed, or do you want me to move slow?
Read it as you would, then go back through it and tackle verbs, tackle interesting things.
Okay.
Give it a good explanation.
All right. So Vayehi acharei mot Moshe, Eved Adonai, Vayomer Adonai el Yehoshua bin Nun, Masharet Moshe lemor. So to start, we have Vayhi, which is traditionally translated as "and it was," or "and it came to pass," or "so it was." But really, all this verb does is introduce a past tense narrative. So you don't really need to translate it. This is just signaling to you, hey, this is a past narrative text. And so they use that. It's interesting. Acharei is a standard present preposition. And then we have mot Moshe, and it means death, and it's the construct form. Mavet is the non-construct form. Mot Moshe, death of Moses, or as I'll call it, as Jews call it, the smichut form, the bound form. Eved Adonai, servant of Adonai, just in case there are Jewish people here. And that again is a construct phrase. Whenever you see two nouns close together like that without a verb following, it's a construct phrase, which just means you put of in between. Yehoshuah, to Joshua, pretty straightforward. Bin Nun, the son of Nun, which again, construct phrases all over the place. Masharet Moshe, a servant of Moses. And lemor is usually translated, this is the infinitive construct form of amar, which is sometimes in older translations translated as saying. It's an infinitive, and infinitives can be used to introduce speech, and that's basically what it's doing here. It's just functioning as like a quotation mark. So you don't have to translate that, but you can if you want. You can say saying. So slower, and I'll break it down. Oh, thank you, Gandalf. I'll break it down into clauses. Vayhi, and it was, or just this is saying, this is past tense. Acharei mot Moshe, after the death of Moses, Eved Adonai, a servant of Adonai, Vayomer Adonai el Yehoshuah, he said, Yahweh said, Adonai said, I'm going to slip, to Joshua, the son of Nun, a servant of Moses, saying. So what comes next is going to be direct speech. And if anybody has questions as we go, you can type the questions in the comment box, and we'll talk about them.
Absolutely. Would you think that there's any difference between Eved and Masharet?
Probably. Because if it was the same, they'd use the same word, right? That's one way of looking at it. Masharet, I think if I'm correct, you can correct me if I'm not, Jason, but is this used in the context of liturgical service or temple service?
Well, normally service in the temple is avodah.
That's true.
Like the word work, lavod.
Yeah.
We use it for military service today, the sharet. Oftentimes, masharet in the Bible goes with a human, and Eved is either a slave or it's a servant of God.
Servant of, servant of Adonai, the munach on Eved, right? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that's part of the construct relationships.
So the munach, munach is one of the, I gotta get my pen going. Let's see, we've got this one here, the symbol that's not segol. It does join it together. Munach is a servant. It goes with the next trope. So
yeah.
But I mean also is servant. There are a lot of servants. That wouldn't really indicate why it has to be construct, because it could be in that situation without it being construct. But it is good to notice.
Yeah, good job. I need to work on my accents.
What else from here? Let's see.
Maybe.
The word mot.
Okay, go ahead.
The word mot, you might take it as an infinitive construct.
Yeah, the construct forms are identical. Yep.
Because it would be after the dying of Moses, or it could be after the death of Moses, whichever one. They could either way. This ties it directly into the book of Deuteronomy, by the way, which basically ends with the death of Moses. Okay, Luke, you want to take the next one?
Sure. I looked at Misharet and Gesenios. There's a new Gesenios. If you're really, really interested in this, there's an English translation, I think, but this is the 18th of the German, and it's updated.
Oh, neat.
But it is more for the scholarly, but it's got some good helpful things. So I'll take verse 2, but I'm going to read straight from my book. So Moshe avdi met, ואתה קום עבור את הירדן הזה, אתה וכל העם הזה אל הארץ אשר אנוכי נותן להם לפני ישראל. So, we've just got a continuation of verse 1. Moses, my servant, died. I'm not quite sure why it's med. Yeah, it's the perfect form, yeah, but it's also isn't this the same exact form in the participle? Correct, Jason?
Mhm.
But here's the perfect.
It could also be an adjective. It could mean
Okay.
Moses, my servant, is dead.
Yes.
Hmm.
And then you have ata, and now rise up, kum. Avo et ה-ירדן הזה, cross over this river. You and all this people, all this, everybody who's with you, all this people, to the land, el haaretz, which I give, or probably in this case gave or promised. But notain is actually the participle form, and you'll have to help me on this in the biblical Hebrew, because if you think modern or rabbinical Hebrew, it's already the present form.
Yeah. So this form in this context, I forget what you call it, but one of the functions in the participles, one of the ways you can translate it, is to be about to do something. So another way of doing it is, I am about to give you. It's like saying, I am hereby giving you this land.
Okay.
And also, you could also do it as I am giving you, or sometimes, yeah, I'm giving you, I think, is the other way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could say in the present I am giving, but
Yeah.
I think it's like Jonathan said, that they're standing on the other side of the Jordan and it hasn't happened yet, and he's doing it like it's immediacy.
Okay.
Yeah, so the omission, the reason why there's... Jason, do you want to take this one since you're the one who pointed it out?
Well, I guess real quick, I thought that Luke would finish the verse and then we'd talk
Oh,
about
yeah,
what's
sorry,
concerned.
Luke, I interrupted you.
Okay, and then which I am about to give to you, namely to the sons or to the people of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But be aware of the distinction between lachem and lahem. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not to you, but to them.
To them, yes. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So what Stephen pointed out there, and Stephen, it's really nice to see you on here. We've got a few people here from language majors, and it's really good to see you guys. He mentioned that in the Septuagint, and you'll notice this in the textual apparatus, the Septuagint leaves Bnei Yisrael off of there. It leaves this off. Asher Anochi Noten Lahem. It leaves it off, Bnei Yisrael. Might there be a reason for that? What would you think?
Somebody can comment on that. I can't type, Jason. I don't know why. I'm on comments, but there's no box for me to type for some reason. I don't know if that's something we can figure out later.
We do have a comment.
Go over.
That it could be a later gloss of the Masoretic text. It's not my idea. Yes, we got it up here. And the Septuagint is preserved an earlier Vorlage, which is an earlier version. I think it's possible that it could have dropped out just because of homoioctone, that they skipped from the Lamed to the Lamed.
Oh, that's another possibility. Good.
Well,
Rasmus, I would agree with you exactly, which is what Jason and I were talking about this morning. Glosses. So, yeah.
But, okay, I mean, it's probably, if it's a gloss of a later text, then we have to just look for more glosses. But it is kind of redundant.
There's a couple more in this verse.
That's exactly the thing. That's exactly the thing. To my opinion, that well, that's Hebrew. In my opinion, not to my opinion.
There
in my
is
opinion,
there
it's
are
the issue of
more
redundancy.
there are more glosses too. Yep.
We're going to see in the next verse, I think, that where the Hebrew says ה-ירדן הזה, this Jordan, or in another place ה-לבנון הזה, the Septuagint leaves the hazeh out, it leaves this out. And I think that what we have here in this verse, we have kol ha'am hazeh, all this people, and then we have lahem, to them, and then we have livnei Yisrael. We have three reference, all going back to the same index, that is the same real world referent. And so I think the Septuagint translators just say, come on, do we really need, we have this people, we have to them, why do we need to the sons of Israel? It just seems redundant. And I'd imagine that just to save, for economy of language, they just left it off.
You know what it could be? And I'm not sure, I don't have a very strong background in this, but glosses were often added arguing against an alternative viewpoint. We see that in the Psalms. We see that in the, like when it, I can't remember what Psalm it is in, but it keeps saying, Zion, this Zion, as opposed to another place. So they do that. I don't know if there may have been some confusion or argumentation back and forth between certain groups about which river is important. Maybe a different tradition, but
not sure.
It's all speculative. So, yep.
So Luke, do you want to give us did you give us translation? I don't think
I did.
Okay, so do you want to go over an analysis of the verbs and stuff?
Yeah, we talked about mit. It could be all three of those forms. Kum is like takum, is in modern Hebrew you would say kum or takum. It's the imperative form. Avor is the same, imperative. And if there's any questions, of course, I'm looking at the chat too, but noten, we talked about that it's actually a participle, but now we've got this immediacy here.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yep.
And those are all the verbs I think that we have. And the rest I think is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I mentioned the lack of hazeh in the Septuagint. It's actually this very one. I'm sorry, I missed it. But yeah, that's omitted. ה-ירדן הזה, the hazeh is missing from the Septuagint.
Yep,
very and cool. Somebody on the comments pointed that out.
Okay, but I can see why that would be omitted, because you don't, once you have a proper name in Greek, you don't need this. They wouldn't say hutos, whatever. They don't need this.
Okay, we don't need any Greek in here. I'm just kidding.
No, I think it's just a translation issue.
A question might be perhaps when the Deuteronomistic history was written, Deuteronomy, Joshua, and such, perhaps Yarden wasn't necessarily a proper name like Lebanon, where it's ha-Yarden and ha-Lebanon, and then by the time that the Septuagint was translated, it was already a proper name.
So Radar Apologetics correctly points out that it is present in the Targums. Yat Yardna Hadain. There's that hazeh. And the Targums tend to follow the Masoretic text pretty closely. So I'm not surprised.
And at the end of it also says Lahon Livnei Yisrael. So it's
I shouldn't say all the Targums. The Targum Onkelos, which is the Targum on the Pentateuch, follows the Masoretic text very closely. But there are differences. Cool. It's always fun to find the differences. So
indeed, and that's what the BHS is good for. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So the next verse says, "Kol makom asher tidroch kol raglechem תדרוך כף רגליכם בו, לכם נתתיו, כאשר דיברתי אל משה. כל מקום אשר תדרוך קו רגליכם בו, לכם נתתיו. So we've got the change from lahem, third person, to lachem. He's talking directly to them. כאשר דיברתי אל משה, as I spoke to Moses. So every place which the sole of your foot will step in it, to you I have given it, כאשר דיברתי. So I want to note, תדרוך is of course יקטול feminine singular, third feminine singular, and it's because kaf is nekeva, it's feminine. Bo refers back to makom, place, and we say that this is resumptive. It's the resumption of the noun as a pronoun within the asher clause, right? Like you don't say זה הבית אשר אני גר, you say זה הבית אשר אני גר בו, for whatever reason. It's kind of weird in Hebrew. Lachem, to you, that's second person, right? Masculine plural, to MP. And netativ is natati plus oto. I've given it natati.
Jason, do you have a pointer? We have a suggestion to use do you have a mouse arrow that you can display to point to the words? It's a good idea.
Do you not see me writing on it?
Yeah, but like as you're reading, you can point to the words. I think is what he's suggesting.
Well, I mean, I can use.
Although if you're reading at that speed, you don't really need it. Can't really use it.
Makom asher tidroch kav raglechem bo, and the bo refers back to makom. Lachem netativ, and the eve is it. I've given it, the place. Ka'asher, even as, kathos in Greek, dibarti el Moshe. I have spoken to Moses. Dibarti is PL, first person common singular, and it is a normal past tense for PL. Yeah. So, any questions about that one? Why the kamats under the lamed in lachem? That's always the case. It's always the case that that's just how it's pointed. So you've got li, lecha, lach, lo, la, and then lanu, lachem, lachen. This is just how it's pointed. There's no change in that. Lahem and lahen. I don't think that there's any variation in that in any of the texts, as far as I know. I mean, of course, you have the longer forms. You have lahem, and you've got lahema, lahen, lahenna. Like you have the longer forms, but it doesn't vary. Any other questions? Did I read too fast? I need to slow down, be clearer. I don't know.
Read it like a native.
Any comments or questions you have, please post, and we will try to pay attention and answer. We're back to you, Jonathan.
All right. So, מהמדבר והלבן הזה ועד הנהר הגדול, נהר פרת. There's another gloss. כל ארץ התיתים ועד הים הגדול, מבוא השמש, יהיה גבולכם. So,
just one comment that you missed one letter. You missed this letter.
Did he? Hachitim. Sorry, I said hatitim. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I read it as a tav.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, folks. I'm a little sick today. Mehamidbar. You have actually. This is really interesting. You have the min. The mem on the front is the min from, and ha. Usually, when you have an assimilated noon, you would have a lengthening. So this is what grammarians would call virtual doubling under the hey, where the patak would be. If it was min, you would expect it to assimilate, but since the h can't take a dagesh, it would lengthen to a 𝗥𝗚𝗦𝗧. But you don't have that here. So virtual doubling.
It lengthens in this case to 𝗔𝗕𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗡, which that's compensatory lengthening. Min hamidbar becomes meyad midbar, and that's from.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Boy, I got that backwards. Yeah.
But normally before hey, you don't have compensatory lengthening. So.
Yeah. So then v'halavanon. This is just and Lebanon, right? So from the wilderness, from not just Lebanon, but Lebanon hazeh, this Lebanon. Another gloss. Lots of glosses in this. V'ad hanahar hagadol, up until the great river, nahar parat. We have another construct phrase. When you have a construct phrase, a lot of the time, but not always, the vowel will reduce down to a shava, and that's one of the markers that you know that it's in construct. So in this case, again, another gloss. The writer is clarifying which river it is. Now, we can't say for certain that this was added later, right? Maybe the writer wrote it by himself, but that is one theory. Don't hesitate if you have any questions, says Jason. Kol Eretz HaChitim, all of the land of the Hittites, v'ad Hayam Hagadol, and up until the Great Sea, Mavo Hashamish, from the coming or from the rising of the sun, Yihyeh Guvulechem, it will be your boundaries.
Well, that Mavo Shamesh, there are two things that you should
Mavo.
You should comment about them.
Mavo is a participle. I believe.
No.
Oh, it's not.
It's a place. It's a place.
Oh, Mavoa Shamish. That's why. Okay. I thought it was like the coming of the sun, the rising. So
it's a place where Bo happens, and Bo is enter. So Mavo is the entrance, the place where it goes in.
So this is it's establishing exactly what the border is. Guvulechem is Mavo Hashamish will be your border. So everything from the big river or the Great Sea, Mavo Hashamish, I guess.
Well, the sea is the place where the sun goes in at night because it sets in the west with the Mediterranean Sea.
Yeah. I missed the parts where you explain the gloss. Can you explain it the more when we meet it again? Of course.
When you say gloss, do you mean apposition?
No, the additions. The additions to the text. Like when it calls it Lebanon hazeh, this Lebanon. Why doesn't it just say Lebanon? Is there more than one? We ran into that in the previous verse too, with all the glosses. There are a lot of glosses. By gloss, I mean a later addition that the writer adds to clarify something. Although to our ears, we think it is redundant. We're like, why did he put it there, or she put it there? If you want.
Well, that's not what gloss means to me.
Well, it's not what it
to me.
It's not what it meant to me either until I read Biblical Interpretation in Ancient Israel by Michael Fishbane, which I bet Luke has run into that.
A bit, but yeah. I think the point was that Jason made was that Lebanon to us is a proper name.
Right.
Maybe at this time it wasn't as clear, and you have to think about this in ancient geography. There's many places with the same name. There are so many like Antiochia that if you have a list and you don't have the context, you don't know where it is. So I think the point that Jason made was a salient point about that the Greek would later then see that as a proper name, because they knew more about the world, about the geography of the Levant. But here it seems to be just Lebanon is just this Lebanon that's up here. And I wanted to ask you, do you think this is the Midbar? Is this where they're standing in Moab? And then the Lebanon is the north border, and then the great river is the west border, and then the east border. Sorry, and the west is to the Mediterranean. I'm not sure.
Well, normally I think that the Midbar would be referring to the Negev, so it's the southern extent. Lebanon is the north. The great river is the east, the river Euphrates, and then all of the land inside where the Chittim are, and then the west is the Yam HaTichon, the Mediterranean.
Yeah, it's
the book of Deuteronomy also opens up with a description of the boundaries of the land, and it does it a bit different as well. One more comment that we should make before moving on is the word shamesh. Remember the word for the sun is shemesh. So what do we have going on there? Why is it shamesh instead of shemesh?
That would be a pausal form.
Right, it's in pause because this is marked with the etnachta or afnach. There are several of the marks that are paused. They're supposed to make you stop a little bit. The major ones are, of course, the sof pasuk. Etnachta is normally the middle of the verse. The zakef katon. Sometimes tipcha functions as a pause. Reviyah, that's also a pause. Sometimes this affects the vowels. So, Radar Apologetics, Rabbi Eduardo, yes, says, doesn't the narrative just make sense that God's pointing out this Lebanon to the great river? Well, the Lebanon is to the north of the Promised Land, and the great river is, kind of northeast. If you think going over into Iraq. Great. Next verse, I guess. Are we good with this one?
No, one more thing I want to point out. You have this is maybe a little too advanced, and we'll talk about the accents later, but Mehamidbar v'halevanon hazeh v'ad hanahar. And as far as I understand, this Gaia on v'ad with the shva, we wouldn't need it there to say that it's that you read it as an ah instead of an o, but it's as far as I understand, it's telling you to slow down here, and saying they want to make a little bit of a that you're not just going vad. Maybe if there was the word vad, maybe they want to keep you from saying something that's confusing, or they want to really say halevanon hazeh v'ad, and then to separate the rivers. But it's not, you don't find it very often, but it's called the Gaia, and we can go over that in future lessons. And the accents help you sometimes just parsing the verse. But in this case, I think it's just the pause to say slow down, read slower here, so we can get the meaning correct.
Right. The I call it meteg or Gaia. Yes. Has a few different uses. That is one of them, that it's supposed to tell you to slow down and read it, like sound it out. The other thing is to mark a full vowel, like this one, a full vowel, not necessarily long or short, but a full vowel in a distant syllable that's in a distant open syllable. To say, normally the practice would be to read really quickly and to drop distant syllables and then get to the tone. But this is saying this syllable has not been reduced and you should not reduce it. So it's along the same lines. Don't drop the vowel. Pronounce this. So,
Okay.
very good
And-
comment.
Well, I mean, in future sessions, we can get out the major work. There's one by Ophia and then one by his teacher. Yevin is the major work. It's in Hebrew and in English. So, yeah.
Cool. Very nice.
Okay.
So we're back to you, Luke, if you'd like to take this verse.
Sure. Where are we? 5. Okay.
You
I
are
will-
welcome, Herman Joe Adafia Boateng. We love it.
So I will read from the text again. Lo yatzev ish lefanecha kol yemei chayecha. כאשר הייתי עם משה אהיה עמך, לא ארפך ולא אעזבך. Sorry. So this probably means something like, and there shall be no man stationed before you all the days of your life, meaning he's going to clear the way, I guess. We'll come back to the verb forms, but I don't know about the meaning for sure, but that's okay. Like I was with Moses, or as I was with Moses, I will be with you. And I will not, 𝗥𝗓𝗦𝗥𝗡 is something like leave or depart from you. I will not depart from you, or I think that's the meaning in Hifil here. I will not depart from you, and I will not leave you. I will not forsake you.
I like with that root. It's
Yes.
resh pe yod is the root. Rafa. It means to soften up. Rafui means like when you have something that is relaxed. Like if you squeeze your hand and then you marpe, you relax it. Like and then yad refuya, it's relaxed, not tightened, not stressed. So arpecha would mean basically I'm not going to release you. I'm not going to let you go. So I mean that's how I would understand. I'm not going to let you go. I'm not going to leave you.
Okay. Now the weird thing here is the pointing at the very end. You have e'ezvecha, but
And that's hard.
Ezvecha.
Not
Vecha.
cha. Not cha.
Oh yeah, ka. It's a
Ezvecha.
dagesh. Yep.
Okay.
And I don't know why that happens. It was explained and I forgot. Do you know why that happens sometimes, Jason?
Normally it would be because it would be like there's a dropped hey inside of there, but in this case there's not. I think it's just because of the pause. I think if we looked in other cases, I mean, if we look for the same verb form in other situations, I don't think it would have the hard cuff. But
I wonder if it's in the Shema. 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗢𝗥𝗡. If it's
if you look in Genesis 28:15, we have lo e'ezovcha, like this. Hold on. Lo e'ezovcha. So it's the pause
expect is e'ezov.
Yeah, exactly. The pause forces it to take on another shape.
Okay. No, and I don't know the rule here. If I had to point this by myself, I wouldn't have got it correct.
So I have a question.
I think that Rasmus has it straight on. That just like we would have the ending that would be for he did it to me, we could say eni or ani with the energic noon. Perhaps there was also a noon inserted there that's been assimilated into the kaf. That would make sense. As regards the first verb there, we know the word nitzav. Nitzav is used in the Bible to mean standing. Somebody's standing somewhere. Anitzavim, the people who are standing, and that's what we've got going on there. Nobody's going to rise up before you. They're not going to stand up before you to challenge you all the days of your life. You're going to be the leader, and nobody's going to come up and charge you or oppose you.
You're exactly right, Rasmus.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I have a question.
Mhm.
Why did you translate hayiti as a future tense verb?
I didn't hear that one.
Oh no, I said as I was with. What in the past tense? Yeah.
No, ka'asher hayiti. Oh, as I was with. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I heard future, but yeah, okay,
No.
cool.
And
We are going.
that's a perfect
What's
point
it?
there with the noon. That's how we.
A perfect point. No.
Good.
I wanted to comment real quick. The verb hayiti, whenever you're doing the 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗢𝗏, the future form, normally you transfer the stress to the end, but with this verb you don't. V'hayiti. V'hayiti, I will be. Just so you know, and it's not relevant to what we're doing right now, but just so you know. Why is it imach and not imcha?
I think that's the pausal form.
would
It
be
could also be an
correct.
Aramaic influence form, I think, but isn't it because of the accent? It's the
Yeah,
pausal.
yeah, it could be an Aramaic influence, but I think that it's because of the pause. Because
Yeah.
It's certainly pause.
Yeah.
What accent is on the word imach? Do you know?
Zakef, isn't it? Zakef Katon.
𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗡𝗥𝗡. Yeah. Katon.
Yeah.
Because the zakef gadol looks the same, but it has a line on the side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kazav.
Next. This is me. I get the chazak ve'amatz.
yeah.
חזק ואמץ, כי אתה תנחיל את העם הזה, את הארץ אשר נשבעתי לאבותם לתת להם. Again, we have this lahem, right? לאבותם לתת להם. That's very cool. חזק ואמץ. These words mean the same thing. Basically, be strong and be strong. Be strong and courageous. Be strong and don't be weak. Because or for you yourself. This is emphatic. You yourself. You are the one who.
Why do you say that's emphatic?
Because you don't need it.
Right.
You can say ki tanchil et am hazeh. Okay, but ata, it says you are the one. You need to be strong because you're the one who's going to do this. Et am hazeh. Naturally, I would more readily like to see la am hazeh. La am hazeh, because you are apportioning the land to the people, right? To the people. But like we have what are called double accusatives, right? Double accusatives. We can say ni milamed. This is really weird to write in this alphabet, by the way. I don't want to use cursive because I don't know who would know it. Milamed et b'ni. I teach my son. Et b'ni. Et sefer. I teach my son the book, like whatever's in the book, whatever. No, not sefer, but sefer. Jonathan likes that A. Melamedet b'ni et sefer.
Not anymore, I don't.
I teach my son the book. So it's et. It's double accusative, and that's what we have going on here too. For whatever reason, we've got lanchil with a double accusative. I would like to see that with la. Ata tanchil la'am hazeh et haaretz. You will apportion to the people the land which I have sworn, which I swore, nishbati. This is in the nifal, right, with the root being shin bet ayin, which is related to an oath, right, to swearing. Shavu'ah is an oath. Shavu'ah. La'avotam, this is the plural of av. Av is father. Av is father. Avot is fathers. And then am is there, and we reduce the first syllable because it's distant. Latet is the infinitive construct of natan. Natan, he gave. Latet, to give. So what did God do? He swore. We don't. Wouldn't it be better in English if we just move this over here? I swore to give to their fathers. But why is it in the middle? Because the oath, the swearing, I swore to their fathers to give to them. And to them is like, he kind of swore to give it to the fathers, but the fathers died. So he actually gave it to their descendants, but that's the same concept. So there we've got this is the indirect object of lishava, the infinitive lehishava, to swear, lehishava, and then this is the indirect object of latet, to give. I haven't been looking if there's any questions.
Nope.
Anything?
Oh, LXX. Okay. Nice. Good observation.
Fantastic. That would feel much more natural with the word lanchil.
So what who mentioned very well could be that the Greek was translating from an earlier Hebrew source that we don't have anymore. Or
but I don't think we could justify a change from lanchil la'am to eta'am. Like I don't see we could justify.
Right. Or it's the other way around. I bet in this case it's the other way around.
I think that the translator was just trying to render it in a way that made sense. And I think probably in Greek, you wouldn't have a double accusative for give. You give this to this person.
Yeah.
We have about 5 minutes left.
I'll take us home.
Well, hold on a second.
Or, do we want to take questions?
Yeah, normally at this point, I think it would be smart to do super chats, but we can't do super chats because we don't have we don't have 1,000 members yet. We are not monetized, but we could go ahead and just open it up to questions
what's super
feedback.
Chat?
Super chat is getting money for. Don't you watch YouTube live feeds? Live streams?
No.
Yeah.
I watch Twitch live streams.
Yeah. So basically, this is our first session. We completed 6 verses, which I think is a good pace. What do you guys think? Is this something that we should repeat and do? And we've been thinking about doing it every 2 weeks, maybe every week. We need content on this channel, and we would love to also bring on people like Luke. I talked to Luke yesterday about what we were doing, and he says, hey, I'd love to come and read with you guys. To bring in guest readers, people who are specialists in Hebrew or in Semitics or something related, but people who are competent, who would love to share with us, to share their knowledge. Stephen, I've also very much enjoyed having you here. Like, it's really cool to see people from the Nerdy Biblical Language Majors group on Facebook who are coming in and participating. So welcome.
And we are nerdy.
Yeah. So
let's do LXX. I don't know LXX that well. Maybe we could get a Greek nerd on here to do LXX sometimes. Although
Jonathan
this
doesn't
is
really
Hebrew
like
Cafe.
Greek.
No, we can manage it. We can manage it. It's just which version. It just gets into comparing versions of Septuagint with versions of the, and then you got to say, what about the Qumran text if there's any? It's yeah.
Jason
can manage the Greek too. I think we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Radar Apologetics. You are Rabbi Eduardo, right? I can see you over there. I just wanted to say, hey and welcome, because it's been a long time since I talked to you. So welcome. And I'm glad that you enjoyed it. We are now at the mark of 2 minutes. I think that it would be a waste of time to go into the next one. We'll start at 1:07 next week. That will be our goal. Okay. We'll try to handle 5-6 verses per week.
Yeah, and if we do it once a week, I think we need to change the day. So just keep watching the announcements if we change the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because Saturday 11:30 at night in Israel isn't a great time to be in front of a computer.
Thank you, Rasmus, for your contributions and for your compliments too.
Thank you.
You clearly know your stuff, as well as Gandalf and Steven and Radar. And
it's been nice having you guys.
Yep.
Thanks, and Muriel, it's been nice to have you too. All right, guys. So I'll make an announcement when we're doing it this next time, and stay tuned.
Peace, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Shavua tov. Shavua tov. It's Shabbat over here. Shavua tov. Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Shavua tov.